in front of me, you know. This is what it looked like at these beings. They exactly look like that. You know, they're called Vril type 3. They're old. You know, when they're young, they have like a long neck. And when they get old, they look like this. And it was basically came this close and it was drooling, just like this, you know. It was just drooling, you know, like, trying to scare me. And I was just closing my eyes and really focusing on my breathing. I was just focusing on my breathing, you know, just slow breathing. And at some point it went away and tried the other children, you know. And then they turned off the clone until it was basically over. And then a gray came and untied me from the wall, you know, and let me out of the room. And it looked exactly like this here. Like exactly like this gray thing here. I'm gonna have to share it for you. Exactly like this. Like exactly, you know. There's a lot of pictures on the internet of gray aliens, you know, like hundreds of different types. This is exactly how it looked like. Exactly. This is what it looked like, you know. It untied me from the wall. It let me out of the room. And it let me out of the room. Past the ripped apart children. And I was just looking away, you know, because they already know. They always try and fucking traumatizing me. And I just saw one of the children ripped apart on the ground. And I saw the blood. And the blood was really glowing. Like it was glowing pink. And they had little shower holes in the ground where they would collect the blood, you know. It was pink and glowing. It was glowing. There was, you know, that's especially why I thought, you know, the soul energy must be somehow projected into the blood, you know. And I didn't know about the concept of adrenochrome. I never heard of that, you know. I was reading Mickey Mouse magazine at the time. They don't have anything about adrenochrome, you know. So one other thing.
You real quick, while you're bringing up your next photo, when somebody dies in a clone body, do you immediately get sent back to your body, or are you sort of like reincarnated immediately into a fresh body?
I usually, the body was dead, and then my consciousness was still there, and I could go around, and I was scanning everything. I was just taking in the energies that were there, and then I was flying out of the base, and I was just flying back to my home, and then I realized, you know, when I was already had the intent to go back to my original body, that I could just teleport, you know. I didn't have to fly all the way. I want to go home. I'm teleporting now, and then I'm back in my body, you know. It's just teleportation of your consciousness, like immediately. And they would usually only use one clone at a time in one night, you know. And so he would lead me here around the corner, and then he would stand there and the gray, and he would tell me, "Oh, Niklas, you're really a smartass. You know, you're such a smartass. You found out what the fuck we want, you know. You found out that we want to scare the children before we eat them, you know. You're so clever, you know." And then he told me, like in a way where it was really kind of almost obvious that he was lying to me, you know. "Hey, man, can you do me one favor, you know? Just go around the corner here, you know. Can you do that for me?" It's like, "Yeah, I can do that." You know, and I just went around the corner, and there was another being which then scared me and then killed me. Like, bit me in the neck or something, bit me, and I died, you know, also really hurt. I think it was one of these beings. Vril type 1 is what they're called. These are the body snatchers. They have like a thing that comes out of their head, which goes into people's eyes and then wriggles around their nerve and kills the person and takes over the body. But this thing ate me, basically. And from that moment, I knew how it feels like when somebody lies to me, you know, like, okay, you're lying, you know, just knew that's lying. From then I knew what lying was like. And I saw they had like windows, and I saw these UFOs standing in a big room. Next to it here was a door, and there were windows, and had these exact UFO model, this exact thing here, just standing like there. Yeah, that was really fucking bad. And yeah, this thing would eat me. And then I was out of the clone. That was really bad.
And then the UFOs, they were just sort of sitting in a room. Were there a bunch of them, or just one of them?
It's a big hall, and there were a bunch of them,
Okay.
in a big room, in a big room behind him. I saw him talking, and in the background I saw this exact model sitting there. And I'm like, what is this? I don't know what a UFO is, but it was exactly this. Looked exactly like this. So, the next thing that happened is, so after that, I remember when I was back in my body, and there were also other beings talking to me. When I was back in my body, there were other beings telepathically talking to me, and there were these guys. They had like blue faces, and I think in UFO lore they're called Arcturians. So I don't know any of that. It's just the guys with the blue face. And they're really nice, and they were really nice, and they're really helpful, and they were always really. They had always a very neutral perspective on things. Like they were always telling me the exact truth of what I had to do. Like with my mind control programming, they just told me it's a little bit like weird, to say. They told me, yeah, you have to overcome. It's pretty like rough thing to say, like sounds uncompassionate, but it's basically what it is. I have to overcome. And when you're psychic, it's a lot easier to overcome than when you're not psychic, because you have all this light and you have this inner peace, like a feeling of deep inner peace, and you can just direct your will and intent to just focus at something and just turn it off. Like when I was young, I would notice that I wouldn't really remember my dreams, or something in me would change what I actually experienced in dreams to something else. And I was so aware that I could focus at it, and I turned it off so that it wouldn't do that anymore. It's like programming in my body, which I then just became aware of and turned it off at will. Everything just at will. When you're really psychic and you have that light all the time, like Kundalini light also coming up, and I just feel really peaceful basically all the time. But after that, I didn't feel so peaceful anymore. And these blue guys would talk to me, and I was really traumatized. I was laying there and I was just sitting there like this, like, oh, that's too much, And they would tell me how to heal. They would tell me, I would ask them, what to do with this, and they would tell me, oh, you only have to do this. You have to think about the thing that traumatized you. You have to really bring it into your awareness, your attention, and then you have to take in 3 little breaths, like, and 1 big breath out, and just have compassion. Just have compassion with yourself, and that's it. And then I already felt a part of my soul coming back, because I healed it. A part of me, it felt like a part of me would come back. The last time I felt it was when, like, not long ago, when I remembered everything that happened with the wolves, and I just healed it the way they showed me to heal it. And I felt just a part of me returning, and just felt really good. So, because it happened, I learned it after I was, after that happened with the wolves, and I didn't have the time or awareness to heal it, because I couldn't bring it directly back into my awareness. It was always like something that I still had to heal. So, but everything else, from there on, I just healed. Every time they torture me, I'm at home. I'm doing my healing. I'm looking at it. I'm taking 3 breaths in. I'm having compassion. You're a little bit sad, about it, what happened. But you have to have compassion. You have to self-love, basically, So I did it, and yeah, they were always really helpful and weird. They were so weird, but good guys. And so the next thing that happened to me, again, this is happening over years, like between 6, 7 to 14 years old, like